Good Monday evening. Welcome to Midwest Sports Net. Hi, I'm Joey McWilliams. It is time once again to talk about the top 5 performances in NAIA football for this past weekend. We're going to go beyond the 5 as well. We're nearing the midpoint in the season, so I have a lot to talk about tonight. So let's go beyond the 5 to begin with. We're going to talk about those top 5 here in just a moment, but let's go beyond that 5 and talk about a few other things that are happening. One of my dark horse teams to make it to the playoffs this year, and that was a team that wasn't picked to win its conference championship. However, I have Indiana Wesleyan as one of my 2 dark horse teams, and the Wildcats get back in the win column with a victory 23-13 over Concordia from Ann Arbor. 2 interceptions on the day for Donovan Shelton. And so the Wildcats are back in the win column. Well, they're going beyond the 5 there. Shelton with 2 picks on the day. How about Concordia from Nebraska this time as the Bulldogs pick up their first victory of the season, 20-12, winners over Dakota Wesleyan. Correll Colmoose continuing to make his assault on the record book there for the Bulldogs. 15 receptions, 110 yards, 3 touchdowns, continues to climb up those ranks. And not only that, he is also the punter as well. 4 punts, averaged 40.8 yards per punt over the course of the day. Not a bad day for Colmoose there. We can't not talk about Morningside, can we? I don't think so. I think there's some kind of mandate on YouTube when you're talking about NAIA football. So let's get it done right now. Joe Dolanchek on the day. Morningside, as Dolanchek leads the way, 16 for 28 passing, 323 yards, had 4 touchdown passes on the day, no interceptions. Dolanchek is second in the NAIA in passing yards per game, 354.8 of those. But let's talk about the Morningside defense as well. Now, Midland comes in, and the Warriors, that's a team we've been promoting here on Midwest Sports Net's YouTube channel. We've been talking about the Warriors, what they've done, 5-0 start. But then again, you go up against the number 1 team in the country in Morningside. Get up 12-7 at the half. That's a good sign. The bad sign there is that the Warriors, they've been making their way on defense so far. Offense, good at times. They managed only 4 field goals, though. Had opportunities, were able to get 3 points each time, but that's when the Morningside defense said enough is enough. 12-7 was Midland's halftime lead. The Warriors did not score again. A 37-0 run for Morningside in the second half, and the Mustangs are still the top team in the country. Let's go over to Northwestern, also there in Iowa, also one of the top 5 teams in the country. And the Red Raiders get some help again from Jalen Gramstead. Talked a lot about him last week. He is doing a fantastic job. Again, 18 for 26 passing, 238 yards, 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions. He also had 7 carries for 105 more yards, 343 yards of total offense on the day, and had a touchdown on the ground as well. So 4 touchdowns as well. Northwestern, 52-8 over Mount Marty. A team that is just picking up its first win of the season is Kentucky Christian. And the Knights get a 42-0 win over Union. Yeah, that's the way to get your first win of the season. 42-0 for Kentucky Christian. Maxwell Ward, 23 of 36 passing, 322 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Big win for Kentucky Christian. We continue going beyond the 5. Let's talk about Dalton Dale. Texas Wesleyan gets a win, 59-16 over Wayland Baptist. Dalton Dale, 11 of 18 passing, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also had 4 carries for 19 yards and a touchdown on the ground as well to make 4 total touchdowns for the day. Waldorf, the Warriors had their first loss of the season last week, but that was almost to be expected going up against the top team in NCAA Division II play. They're going back into North Star play this week, and the defense steps up. 2 fumble recoveries for touchdown for the Warriors. Waldorf defeats Presentation 48-3 on the day. And how about the play from Jordan Cooper as well? 17 for 27 passing, 216 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 9 carries for 61 yards, and another touchdown. He had 277 total offense yards on the day. For Cooper, Waldorf gets the victory. Here's another one, or here I think is the first one today. We'll talk about a couple of these performances that the team wound up on the losing end. Here's one of those. Judson, falls to Olivet Nazarene 64-22. The Eagles come up on the short end big time, but Brandon Mackey had a day, 15 carries, 245 yards, responsible for all three of the touchdowns scored by the Eagles on the day, and that is one of the biggest rushing performances of the season. Top 5, I believe it's number 3 on the year. So Mackey with 245 yards on the ground. And then Kaiser, and we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Kaiser had just one win on the season, went up against 2 Division II teams and a Division I team in the NCAA, all 3 losses. Got a week to think about it. You didn't want to be that team that played Kaiser next. Florida Memorial, unfortunately for the Lions, was that team, and Kaiser came out with a victory. 48-7, big time for the Seahawks. Marquise Burgess, 26 carries on the day, 149 yards and a touchdown. Miles Henderson, 3 receptions on the day, 122 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. So he averaged 40.7 yards per reception. Not a bad day. 3 receptions, 2 of them for touchdowns. So a big day for Kaiser. Now let's go ahead and let's go to our top 5 performances here. We start, we got to have the graphic. Yeah, we got to have the graphic there. How's that? We start with Arizona Christian. Tyler Duncan getting it done. 21 for 31 passing, 204 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But it was a ground game for Duncan as well. 13 carries, 45 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, Arizona Christian took on OUAZ. It's a big matchup there in the state of Arizona between the 2 NAIA schools, both of them very solid in football. Arizona Christian making its farewell tour through the Sooner Athletic Conference and picking up some wins along the way. Got a big victory last week against Southwestern Assemblies of God, who we'll hear about here in just a moment. And then a big victory against a top 10 opponent in Ottawa, Arizona. 40-38 the victory, and Arizona Christian rallies in the fourth quarter, gets 17 points, a 17-7 fourth quarter. Tyler Duncan himself accounted for 15 of those points, had a passing touchdown, had a rushing touchdown, and also carried it in for 2 points. So I guess he accounted for 14 of those points, all by his lonesome. Duncan, instrumental in the Arizona Christian victory over OUAZ. 40-38 the final. I saw some traffic on social media, some ACU Firestorm fans saying, hey, this was not an upset. Okay, maybe I'll give that to you. Now, on paper, it's an upset because OUAZ was a top 10 team. However, we'll see how it all turns out in the end. Arizona Christian, a very good football team, and they're getting things going now with a winning record 3-2 on the year. Let's move on along. Graceland with a big day. They come up on the short end. I told you there was one more team that had a great performance, unfortunately came up on the losing end. 98 points scored in this one. Baker evens their record now at 3-3. Graceland also with 3 wins on the season. Baker 56, Graceland 42. But how about the day for Cade Ross? Cade Ross, the top quarterback in the country in the NAIA in passing yards per game, 365.7 of those. Touchdown passes, 20 of those. And a big day against Baker. The Wildcats defense could not slow him down. Cade Ross, 23 for 45, passing for 464 yards, 6 touchdown passes on the day. Had a couple of picks as well. Gerald Monroe, also tops in the country in the NAIA in receiving yards per game at 170.3 of those. And in receiving touchdowns, he had 11 of those, had 5 of them on the day against Baker. That's right. 6 touchdown passes from Cade Ross, 5 of those TD passes to Gerald Monroe. 13 receptions on the day, 304 yards receiving. Yes, 304 yards receiving. That's the top output in receiving yards in 2022 in the NAIA. So unfortunately for the Yellow Jackets, they come up on the short end. I'm sure they would have liked to have had the win as opposed to the numbers, but they did get the numbers. No doubt there. So Ross and Monroe with a big afternoon for Graceland. Let's move on over to Sagu. Keaton Dudik gets his running game going. 243 yards on the ground in 34 carries. Just behind those 245 we mentioned just a little bit earlier. And Dudik, not only with the 243 yards rushing, had 4 touchdowns on the ground as well. He had 3 catches for 46 yards too. 289 all-purpose yards on the day for Keaton Dudik. And the Lions get a victory, 47-20 over Arkansas Baptist. And another win for Sagu, getting back and evening things out on the season. Johnny Sullivan for Grandview. Let's talk about Johnny Sullivan for a moment. And I have gotten some feedback that folks have said I have not talked about Johnny Sullivan enough on this channel. You're not paying close enough attention. We're talking about Johnny Sullivan on this channel. Let's talk about him again. Grandview with a 55-7 victory over Missouri Valley. Johnny Sullivan at the helm, 22 for 32, passing for 374 yards, 6 touchdowns, just 1 interception on the day. The Vikings are doing well with Sullivan at the helm, and he threw those 6 touchdown passes to 5 different receivers. So a big day for Johnny Sullivan. So props to him. Also, and a single game rushing record for Sagu. Thanks. Let's go ahead and put that one up there. Appreciate that. From Ferg AD. Single game rushing record for Keaton Dudik on the day, Southwestern Assemblies of God. Also a shout out, by the way, to Stephen Bugkiller. It was a big day for Dalton Dale. And yeah, thank you. Appreciate the comment there. I'm glad that you guys are watching here on a Monday night. That is great. Well, we're continuing now. We've got some Sooner Athletic Conference noise out of the way there. They definitely made some noise this past weekend. Johnny Sullivan, one more. Let's get to one more here, okay? Let's talk about a team that I also had as a dark horse this year. We talked about Indiana Wesleyan back on the winning side, and I think these two teams, Indiana Wesleyan and Bluefield, will really come along as the season progresses. Both of them had a couple of hiccups early on. I think things are going to continue well for them. Indiana Wesleyan did its job getting on the winning track. How about Bluefield? Yes, the Rams did their job getting back on the winning track. 50-26 over Pikeville. Remember, it was just a couple of weeks ago we were talking about Pikeville being 2-0 undefeated. They were a tough team. The defense there for the Bears, not so much against the Rams. Bluefield, led by Nathan Herstitch, 17 for 36 passing, a little less than 50% completion rate, but he completed 329 yards worth of passing on the day. And check this one out. No interceptions, but 7 touchdowns for Herstitch. So congratulations to Bluefield. And let's talk about a couple other players. I didn't have Thomas on the graphic. James Thomas, 31 carries, 149 yards. A big day for Thomas. And Jaquan Ebron. We've talked about him a number of times here. Ebron, 6 receptions, 149 yards, and 4 touchdown catches on the day. Really, really big day for Nathan Herstitch. And we'll throw this out here. We did mention, by the way, Joe Dolencheck a little bit earlier. Hope you were listening, Frank. We did mention Joe Dolencheck a little bit earlier. They actually, and let's go ahead and read it. Tough year for the Mustangs. 4 of the first 5 games are top 25 in the NAIA. GPAC is the toughest conference in the NAIA as well. I don't think that we have evidence to the contrary on that. I don't think we can say anything beyond that. GPAC definitely comes across as the toughest conference. And I know we're not talking volleyball right now, but it's another sport going on in the fall. GPAC is definitely the toughest conference in volleyball too. But we did mention Joe Dolencheck a little bit earlier on the show and talked about his numbers. And since we do have that graphic up there, we will mention it one more time. 16 for 28, 323 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no picks. So let's wrap things up here. By the way, thank you to everyone for watching. To the folks who have commented tonight, please feel free to comment on Monday nights. We try to go live on Monday nights with this show, and we'll have the panel back sometime very soon, either next Monday or the week following. We really enjoy getting to visit with our folks from around the country, NAIF ball, from the folks at Varsity Sports Show on the other side of the country in Arizona, and all around. We appreciate them coming on here on Midwest Sports Net. And by the way, thank you for watching on this Monday night. If you're watching the replay, picking this up a little bit later, thank you very much for watching as well. We enjoy talking about small college sports and more throughout the Midwest and beyond right here on Midwest Sports Net. If you would, please take the time, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. It really does help as we have pushed past the 1,100 subscriber mark, and we are nearing the 1,200 mark. Okay, we're about halfway there. We're going to get there. And if you help, it would be greatly appreciated to do that. So thank you again for watching tonight. God bless you all. Again, Tyler Duncan, Arizona, Christian, Cade Ross and Gerald Monroe from Graceland, Keaton Dudik from Sagu, Johnny Sullivan, Grandview, and then Herstitch and Ebron from Bluefield. Have a great night. We'll have more content here on Midwest Sports Net. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.